My name is Ashley Scott. I'm 33 and I am a kindergarten teacher. What has been one of my most defining moments as a Christ follower? I am sure that the most defining moment that I've had was walking through infertility for the past 3 years almost. Um, I don't think people don't really talk about infertility like they should. It really should be more open with men and women because it's not just the woman walking through it; it's the man also. And I'm glad that I'm doing this because I really want that to be I don't know, whatever kind of stigma or anything like that. I really want people to know that they're not the only ones because walking through infertility can be very lonely. Um, and it's hard because you want something so badly, but it's not in your power. It's in God's power, and you have to completely surrender the good and the bad. We were very excited when we got married and wanted to, start having kids. We knew we were going to wait at least 2 years, and so when the 2 years were up, we were excited, thinking it would happen quickly, but somehow, I don't know why. I don't know if it was the enemy. I'm sure it was. He was letting me know it's not going to be that easy. It's not going to be that easy. Just, I don't know what it was, but I could hear that playing in my mind, and it wasn't. It really wasn't. So we were thinking, okay, it'll be in the fall. That was in 2014. Well, we're thinking it'll be in the fall. So we're waiting, and then I'm like, okay, well, I haven't had a cycle. What's going on? I still haven't had anything. And then months go by. Then it's December, it's January, and the doctor I was seeing then, she was like, oh, these things happen. Let's just restart your system with some progesterone. And I was like, okay, great. So I did that. It came back for 1 month. It was gone again. And we were pretty devastated trying to figure out what in the world was going on with my body. And a part of me knew it's me. Something's not right. Something's just not right. And I've always had, and I think most people, um, if they have different health issues and health problems, they may think that's just how I am. But I found out by going to a new doctor that someone heavily recommended that it wasn't just me. People say like, oh, I just have that. My sinuses are just like this, but no. I went to the doctor in April of 2015, and he diagnosed me with PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. And I didn't realize this, but I've probably had it for the past 15 years probably. And I just always thought like it was so hard for me to lose weight, or it's so hard for me to, my skin always acts up or crazy and things like that. I just assumed it was just how it was and just accepted it. But no, it's actually very common, and so many women have it, but not many people are very open and honest about it. And so um, I was thrilled, not because of the diagnosis, but thrilled to know that this has a name, and that it wasn't just what I thought my body's just crazy, it's out of whack, and things like that. That doctor is a Christian, and he's fantastic. I really recommend him to everyone because he actually listened to me, and he wanted to figure out what was wrong, and he figured it out the same day that I went. And he said that he would help us, and he did. It took After that, it only took about, let's see, that was in April. He started me on a medicine. It's called metformin, to help my hormones get back in whack. And when I finally got my period, I was tearful. I don't think I've ever been that excited to go to the store and get sanitary items. I was thrilled. And so we just kept waiting after that, and waiting and waiting and waiting. But I went to SHREF that year, and just going. My mother-in-law came with me too, going to enjoy and everything. And one of the last sessions we had was with Alex Seeley, and she was praying about the woman with the issue of blood. And of course, we've heard that, umpteen times. She touched the hem of his garment and she was healed, things like that. But she actually talked about her own story and her testimony of infertility. And when she did, I was, of course, very much into it. But then she said, I'm going to call out women right now who are going through the same thing. And, I was kind of shaken because the lady sitting next to me, those ladies actually knew my parents, and my dad is an OBGYN. They knew him. They were his patients. And so at first, of course, that it was like, they don't need to know all your business. You don't need to know. But of course, just like the woman with the issue of blood, she was desperate. And I had to look away from those ladies and just say, I have to get my healing. I have to get exactly what I need. And I remember, because another friend of mine who also has PCOS, I was like, if I'm going to go up there, I want to make sure she's up there too. And she started walking, of course, up there. But she started just naming out women's issues. And she said, people who have issues with their, ovaries, or issues with, what did she mention there? Fallopian. I mean, I feel like she mentions all kind of things. And then she said women with PCOS. And I froze, because I feel like for me it was the first time I really realized, God, you're listening. Cordell and I have been crying and praying, crying and praying. And she called out my issue, and it was overwhelming. And I made sure I was up at that altar, and I just wept. It was something that I'll never forget in my entire life, because I just couldn't believe even something that small. I mean, she named ovarian cancer. She named, I feel like almost anything you could name. But then she named PCOS, and I knew that was for me. And I just got up. And I just, it meant so much. Not like God doesn't hear us, but we just, at times, when you're so desperate and you just are praying and waiting for things to happen, and social media doesn't always help, because you see somebody else has gotten pregnant, or you run into somebody else and you see them with all their kids, and you just keep waiting for your time. And for me, that was it. And I knew I'm going to be healed, and we're going to get pregnant soon. And my mother-in-law just instantly started speaking in tongues, and she was just, of course, overwhelmed as well. And I had to hold on to that healing, because I didn't know if it was going to happen tomorrow or in a couple of days or a couple of weeks. And so I held on to that, because I just felt like, God, you're listening. You have me. You have this. You've got this. And people have told us before, like, don't worry, you're going to have kids. Don't worry. But of course you worry about that. You feel like you're getting older and things like that. And so we were just waiting then, and that was in September, so it didn't happen in October. It didn't happen in November, or so we thought. My grandfather was ailing. He'd had a cancer for a long time, and my parents had kind of prepared my brother and I that this is going to be the end. And I've never lost a grandparent. He's the only one I've ever lost. And when he was, I hate to say on his deathbed, but one of the last times we saw him, he was in the bed, and he was talking to us, and he said, don't wait too long to have kids. Don't wait too long. And of course he didn't know what was going on. And he was like, y'all don't wait too long, and y'all have a lot of kids. Have a lot of kids. And when we were like, okay, Grampy, we love you. And I didn't realize it, but not long after that, I did become pregnant. It wasn't that long after that, in fact. That was the last month that I had a cycle, because in December, I was frightened, because I was like, my period's not here. Something's wrong again. It's something else. And it was right before Christmas. And I was finally out of school. I thought maybe I was just stressed out, the end of the year craziness with the Christmas parties and all that jazz. And so that Monday my period didn't come, and I was freaked out. That Tuesday didn't come, and I was freaked out. So I was like, okay, Lord, and Cordell's like, well, why don't you take a pregnancy test? And I was like, I don't want to take it again, because that's painful. People don't realize that, you take a test like every month, and then every month you have to wait until the next month. And so, Cordell was like, if you believe that you're healed, believe that you are healed. and I just cried because I just was so frustrated and overwhelmed. And people ask you a lot, when you gonna have kids? What's going on? Y'all don't want kids, or things like that. And it's just that wears on your spirit, is of course. And so Cordell's like, okay, go ahead and take the test. If you just go ahead and take it, just we'll just deal with whatever comes. And the next morning I took the test and really didn't think anything of it, and it was positive. And that was Christmas Eve morning. His parents were there, so we were like, but we don't want to tell him just quite yet. And I was completely shocked. And I woke up Cordell and I said, I'm pregnant. And he said, what? And he just fell on the floor and started weeping. And so did I, because I just couldn't believe it. I was in so much unbelief. I was like, hold on, I'm going to take another one. And I did. And then I was just like, oh my gosh, this is real. Like, this is real. This is happening right now. And from there, that's why our daughter's name is Faith, because Faith, Hebrews 11:1, now it escapes me, of course, but it's just all about seeing before you. I can't even remember the verse now. Am I allowed to look at my phone? I can't remember the verse.
I mean, is it the faith is the
Faith is the substance of things hoped for. Yes, that's why her name is Faith, because she's the substance of things hoped for us. And I now I don't understand how people can, but I know that's their choice. But now, to go through pregnancy and everything like that, I just don't see how you can just feel like it's not God or not of God. I don't know how, because there's nothing that you're doing really to help the child grow. There's nothing that you can do. I even asked if I needed to eat more protein. There's nothing that you can do. It's all God. That everything they need in their body to live is already there. They're breathing underwater. If they're a woman, they have all the eggs that they'll ever need. I mean, it's incredible to go through all of that and to feel it moving inside of your body. It's amazing. And so I just don't know how people can't believe in God, because you go through all of that, and of course, giving birth was completely emotional. That was the most defining moment, definitely for me, because it was a complete faith walk. There was nothing else I could do in my power. It was all God. And to go from being so desperate, to have kids and wanting to share our life, and then to now have a child, it's just incredible. I just wept when she was born. I wept. It was just incredible. And so, to see, at first, being, I don't know, how they just kind of take the baby and they just put him on your chest and stuff like that. At first, I was just kind of like, oh no, I'd never do that, or whatever. I could care less. When the Faith came out and they put her on there, I just cried and cried and cried, because it was truly a miracle. And I think that's what the most defining thing is, because God He gave us a miracle. We got pregnant. He chose her for us. And to look at her now she's 7 months old, and I mean, it's just incredible. So that walk, it was not easy, but it was worth it.